What's going on, guys? This is the 100 TV, and as always, we keeping it 100, bringing you stories from behind the wall and the other side of it. Today, I'm here with my guest. I'm not even going to shout him out. You see his name up on the screen, but I'm going to let him introduce himself because he's doing a whole lot in the community, and he's got a story to tell. Good brother, can you go ahead and introduce yourself today, man?
Hey, this is Gene of Strong Temple Fitness and Personal Training.
Yes, sir. We're gonna get into Gene Strong Temple Fitness. We're gonna get into the brand. We're gonna get into the public speaking, the motivational speaking. We're gonna get into all that. You being proactive with the youth, but first and foremost, because I spoke to you literally for about 5 minutes setting this up, maybe twice, sent a couple messages because at one point you started to really going on your story, and I kind of stopped you
Yeah.
because I wanted to hear it firsthand, just like everybody else. We just spoke on the good things that we're gonna get back to, and if you could definitely, I'm gonna go ahead and bring his information on the screen because I know you guys are definitely gonna want to tap in with them there. Uh, but let's take it all the way back. Let's take it back uh, to what this show, is about. The foundation of it. We talk a little bit about everything, but the topic at hand, prison, incarceration. A lot of people see you in the community, giving back, putting in work, the positive way, helping with the youth. But do they know the story? And if they do, I don't know how you introduce it to them, but I want you to really let the people know now what I'm asking about. Do they know the story? Because your story is unique. It's not a surprise. Every day people are getting locked up, people are getting incarcerated, and the majority of the time by the decisions that they make. Even myself, that's what led to my own incarceration. But for some of us, we're minding our own business. We could be walking down the street, we could be whatever it is. We could be at work, and then one day we get a knock on the door or we get pulled over, whatever it is, and our whole life changes.
Facts.
And I'm gonna stop right there. Introduce, so you already did the introduction. Just go into the story and just really tell them, the core of this thing, man. Wow, I was excited when you reached out and said you wanted to be a part of this because your story is crazy.
Like you said, my name is Gene. So my story is a little bit different and somewhat authentic, I would say, in some standards. In 1993, I was incarcerated for a murder conviction that I didn't do. And people like, oh, murder, you had to do something. No, straight, I was in my house, in Norfolk, and the police knocked on my door. The before I got locked up, at first they came and talked to me because I had went to visit my mother in Hopewell, Virginia, and while I was down there, a man's life was taken. I had heard about it. I wasn't around the situation, but I was heard about it, and the people that was involved in it. One of the guys, who later was the one to testify against me and point the finger at me, told me what happened.
Mm.
So this was like around Thanksgiving. So guy get killed. Mr. McClure, saying rest in peace to him. His family know I didn't do it, so they're all good with me. But they came and talked to me in Norfolk at first, and they came and asked me about the murder, and I was like, well, I wasn't there, but I heard, but what I'm saying? It was like, okay. They asked me a question. They asked could they take a picture of me. And at first I was nervous, what I'm saying? I'm 17 years old. I'm nervous because I have been in trouble before. I've been locked up. I've been to Crater. I've been to Beaumont. What I'm saying? I had built a bad brand for myself. Sold drugs, ran the streets, but I never had taken nobody's life. Loved guns, what I'm saying? Told the guns was all that. But when I went upstate to Beaumont and I came home, Beaumont scared me. It gave me the feel like, yo, if this is what juvenile prison like, I ain't trying to go to the big boy prison.
Can you tell them? I don't want to, sway you from where you're going with this, but can you tell everybody real quick what it was like inside Beaumont, a juvenile facility?
But juvenile and juvie, you fight and all the stuff that goes on in the prison, in big boy prison, we'll say like the same thing happens in juvenile prison, but it's a whole lot more reckless. You have in Beaumont, you know what I'm saying? I'm in Beatty College, where it's everybody in there, like these are the bad of the bad kids, you know what I'm saying? They're
Right.
fighting. You go if you have an altercation, you go back in the shoe room, you know what I'm saying? You fist the cuff it out. You might catch a dude might get caught sitting on the toilet. He done did something disrespectful. They fighting, you know what I'm saying? Then when the staff come to break up the fight, it's no like get out the way. It's like they scooping you, slamming you. You know, I went to the hole one time and I met a kid who was he was a hitman. I never forget youngin. He was a hitman like at 14 years old. But he used to talk to me out the door, you know, and really he used to shine a lot of light on me about things. And he was telling me about his situations and bodies and stuff. And he told me like he didn't shoot people, he used a knife. So he was telling me like his last body, how he grabbed a dude by his neck and cut his throat. And he spent around and looked at him. And he used to have nightmares about dude every night. So sometimes I'd be like, young, you all right? And he'd be like, man, yeah, man, I just had another nightmare. So, you know, that right there, I was like, yo, this ain't where I want to be at, you know. So when I was released from Beaumont, you know what I'm saying, I went and did a little stint in group home because of my reputation in Hopewell, they told me they didn't want me to come back out there. But my whole family, I moved to Virginia in the summer of '88. And this is how long, like this is how crazy it is. I moved from Virginia the summer of '88. Went upstate. I've been to all the detention homes, Mecklenburg detention home in Richmond, been all
You did a whole
crazy.
tour.
Yeah, I did a tour of all the little detention homes because I was a runaway. I was
Mm-hmm.
running away from home. I was stealing, you know. So
Right.
with that, I had built up what I tell my kids now, like you build up your brand. So I had built up that brand, like he would get in trouble. He do stuff.
Right.
And went upstate to Beaumont. But when I came home, when I got released from Beaumont, you know, it went up there with like 3 months, ended up doing like 6 to 9 months. So that was in 1991. So I come home, I'm out, I'm in a group home for about 6 months, a little something, you know. But Hopewell told me, my probation officer and stuff in Hopewell told me not to come back to Hopewell. But my family, you know what I'm saying? My family from Hopewell, I'm living in Tidewater, but my family is from Hopewell. So I used to go and visit. But most of the time when I used to go and visit, I just used to do day visits. I go and shoot right back out. You know, I wouldn't
Right.
stay overnight. So, like I said, this time when I went to stay, when the man got killed, you know, I had went and stayed for like a whole week. I went there that Thursday. No, I went there like that Tuesday, my bad. Tuesday, I went to Hopewell. I went back home to Norfolk on that Sunday, still on probation and everything, because so you got to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I got back, probably about a good week or two later, the police came to my house. They came to the house and they's like, what you know about this murder? I was like, well, I heard about it. I ain't got nothing to do with it. It wasn't me or nothing like that. Not to jump to say it wasn't me, but you know, we get accused of stuff. So I was
Right.
like, I ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So they asked me could they take a picture of me, and they took a picture of me with a Georgetown jacket on. But I was
What
sitting a
what
George
were you feeling right now? What were you feeling right now in that moment?
nervous, but at the time, any charge that I ever got, I pled guilty to it.
Mm.
So I knew like I didn't do anything. One of the
Right.
things that I was nervous about because at the time, you know, back in 1993, we were swapping out clothes and everything. Like
Mm.
you can wear my coat, I wear yours.
Yeah, yeah, most
So,
stuff.
so I had let one of my brothers that I deal with, I had let him wear my army fatigue jacket. You know what I'm saying? My army coat. I had the army coat. He had the Georgetown starter jacket.
Mm-hmm.
So we swapped out. The Georgetown jacket that I had on the day that they arrested me, not the day the way when they came and talked to me, it wasn't even my jacket.
Mm.
So I knew my little youngin probably was wilding, but I was like, hey, so when they took the picture of me with the jacket on, you know, but they saw the front of the jacket. The police saw the detective saw the front of the jacket. When they
Mm-hmm.
took it, they was like, can we take a picture? I was like, no, at first. I said no. They was like, well, all we're gonna do is go get a warrant, come back and get you. If you
Yeah.
ain't do anything, you don't have to, ain't gonna. So to fight all that, I let them take the picture of me. 2 weeks later, they come back. I'm playing, I never forget. I'm playing Sega Genesis, playing football. My man, like, yo, son, the police at the door. They call me by my nickname, Smoke. He's like, Smoke, somebody at the door for you. The police at the door. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, stop playing. So when I look back, by that time, the police up in the house, and they tell me like, you're under arrest for murder. They said, can we search the house? I was like, yeah. So they go and search, get my room from my room. They get the Georgetown jacket. They get a pair of my black Reeboks. They get my black Reeboks, and I never forget that we driving back from Norfolk to Hopewell, and this is about an hour, 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
So I started nodding off, but I heard the police talking, and then he said, "Are you asleep?" And I was like, "Nah." I set up. So we get to detention.
What are you feeling? What are you feeling at that moment? Because I asked you what you were feeling when they took a picture.
Yeah.
But now you in the back of the car.
Yeah. I'm nervous.
You in it now.
Yeah, I'm nervous, but I still know I didn't do this. Like, I'm at that moment, and people say it's kind of funny. At that moment, I believed in the justice system.
And that's what I was going to ask you. You're nervous, so you're thinking there's a way out.
Yeah, I'm believing in the justice system. Like, oh man, this gonna we're gonna get down here. They're gonna say, hey, he ain't do it. Boom, I'm good. Right. I get in the crater. I get in the crater. Juvenile is is in Distributown of Virginia. I get in the crater, and after they do everything, shower you and everything, they take me back to my cell. They already know I'm coming, so they already got the cell prepared. My cell is all the way at the end of the hallway. As I'm walking down the hallway, the other kids, because there's teenagers in there, they all saying, man, the guy here that killed Danny. So between Hopewell and Petersburg, it was like
Danny.
Danny's the dead man.
Okay.
So Danny McClure. So as I'm walking down the hall, they like, yo, the guy here that killed Danny. Yeah, bro, we'll see you in the morning. So at the time, you still got areas beefing. You got Petersburg and Hopewell beefing with each other.
That's what I'm saying. So he had some guys that knew him.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you sitting there, man, you got a target on your back.
Yeah.
You face a murder charge.
So I'm like, but because my family and stuff from Hopewell, but I got partners and everything. I because me not being from Virginia, I'm cool with everybody because I lived in Richmond first. You know what I'm saying? I lived in the capital of Virginia. So I'm good everywhere I go because that's how I present myself. So in the morning time, when the doors opened up at like 7:30 to 8 o'clock for breakfast, they let me out the cell because my cell was always all the way in the back. That meant I came out first. So they let me out first. And when I come out the door, I get my chair and I angle my chair so that I can see everybody coming out the door. Because if we got to fight, if we got to fight, I'm not letting nobody get behind me. So I angle my chair so I can see down the hallway. See the guy.
It's crazy how I'm stopping for 2 seconds. It's crazy because I'm just similar situation. I'm from out of state, not similar situation, but when I hit the prison, I hit Sussex too. I used to sit in my box outside the cell so I could have my back so I could see the whole pod towards the corner. People don't understand when you in the thick of it. That's when survival mode really kick in.
Most definitely.
But I ain't mean to hold you up, but it's just crazy.
So when I sit my chair and I'm looking down the hallway, so they starting to come out. It's starting to come out. You know what I'm saying? They got the little ones, then they got the tougher guys. You know what I'm saying? Coming out, and I'm like, yo, it's gonna get the like the gang will say it's about to get popped, man. I'm like, okay. So when they coming down the hall, when people coming out and they see me, and they come up, they say, Smoke, what you doing here? Because everybody knew that I didn't live in Hopewell no more.
Mm.
Everybody knew that I had moved away, that I was staying in Norfolk. So they're like, what you doing in here, bro? Like, what you here for? I said, man, they say I killed somebody. And so when they like, so now they get mad. I mean, these are a bunch of juveniles, a bunch of teenagers that's upset because they know I didn't do it. And
Right.
the guy that lied on me, that had the murder, he had Sean, his name's Sean Coleman. Sean Coleman had the murder and robbery.
Mm-hmm.
When they locked me up, they gave me the murder charge.
Mm.
So he was in detention all the way up until that early that morning when they said they was coming to get me. They had to move him. So they sent him to the juvenile jail in Richmond. So now all the kids, all the guys, the teenagers, they're mad. Cause they like, yo, nah, bro, you ain't supposed to be here. They was like, man, Cluck. His nickname Cluck. They was like, Cluck lied on you, man. They was like, man, we should have whooped him when he was here. You
Mm.
know, we let him get away. So now it's like I'm still like, because I know Cluck brother. Before he passed away, I used to hang with his brother. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh man, younger name, like, really? You throw me in a murder charge? Like, I was out there when you told us the story about what happened?
Let it be known. Message anybody in the streets. You
Yeah,
think it's one way, it could definitely be another.
yeah.
You know, it
So
happens every day.
and so I'm in there, and you know, we get the public defender. So I'm in there for a couple of days. You know, after the third day, you got to go to court.
Can you let everybody know, because that was one of the questions that was asked over there on TikTok when I was doing a post earlier. What is a public defender, and what is the significance behind stepping into a courtroom with a public defender?
If you a public defender only gets paid around $100 or 52, they don't get no more than $500 to handle your case.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and most public defenders, like, they can be real lawyers, but they have these certain amount of pro bono or public cases that they have to do. You know what I'm saying? As a part of their bar agreement or whatever they have to do. So most of the time, you have some good public defenders, but most of the time, a public defender is going to sell you out, or is going to get you the plea bargain, the sweetest plea bargain they can get
Yeah,
you.
the effort's not going to be there.
Yeah, it's not gonna be no investigating. It's not gonna be like, yo, you ain't really do this type thing, you know. And my public defender that I had, to be honest, he's a judge now,
Mm.
you know.
Up a little bit.
Yeah, and so he was at that time. I still didn't understand it, because I was like, I think I was his first murder charge,
Mm.
because he got the office of Marks and Harrison.
Mm.
And we
Okay.
know Marks and Harrison. We hear about that. That's for accidents and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But they said that he was a good lawyer. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, you got one of the best lawyers, Mr. Loophole, Ray Loophole, and I had two. First, I had one, then I got two, because it was a murder case. Had Ray Loophole and Joan O'Donnell. Joan, she died like a couple of years ago. But so here it is, the third day. I have to go I got to go to arraignment to set up my pre-trial. So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Let's go to, we're going to go. So they say they're just going to hold me because of the seriousness of the case. About another month, I'm in there. I'm in there for like a month now. Everything, just still trying to find out, touch the street, like, what's going on? Like, I didn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-trial come up. I asked my lawyer, I had a pre-trial on a Wednesday. I asked my lawyer, I said, what's going to happen tomorrow when we go to court? He says, well, they're going to see what evidence they have against you. If they don't have enough evidence, they're gonna dismiss it. You're gonna go home.
Hmm.
I was like, so on that Tuesday night, so when Danny got killed, I was, like I said, I was in Hopewell. So
Mm-hmm.
when Sean was telling us the story about what happened, we was on this area called the Heights. We was out, me, Sean, his cousin, a bunch of people was out there. So when Sean was telling us the story about what happened, he was like, man, Danny got killed. Danny got killed. So I was like, who is Danny? He was like, man, you don't know him, Smoke. So I was like, I just leaned back on the car. So he telling the stories like a man came from behind the side of the buildings. It happened in broad daylight at the Breeze Inn gas station, close to Fort Lee, the Army base. So he was like, the man came from behind the building, asked us, do we got a problem with him? Shot Danny in the torso, walked away, came back and shot him in the head. So Sean is standing right here, he says. Danny's in the middle, and another guy, Norris Hardy, is on the side.
Mm.
So they said I walked up to him, and this is what happened. So, but they said, well, when the trial go, this is how I said, but Sean's telling us what happened out there. So when he's telling us what happened, he go in his pocket. He said he caught Danny later on the ground. He said when he went in his pocket, he pulled out drugs and the beeper. But he said it was some females out there at the time they saw it. So
Mm.
one of the females was a girl that we grew up with named Wormy. So I was like, he said Wormy was out there. I said, Wormy out there. That's when I spoke up. I said, Wormy was out there. I said, they're gonna tell what they saw. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody they was talking, dude was talking to him. So he gave the drugs and the beeper to his cousin. His cousin went around the apartments. He jumped in the, I never forget, he had a gray Benz. He jumped in the Benz and left.
Mm-hmm.
But what they said, that Sean was calling Danny all morning to meet him. And
Mm.
when he met him, he got killed.
Mm.
So we go, now here it is, it's pre-trial. So I'm thinking again, I'm about to go home. You know what I'm saying? Okay, he
But
told me, the lawyer told me, no evidence, you ain't do it, you're going home. So Tuesday night, another guy that was out when Sean was telling us what happened got locked up. Tony Thomas. He gets locked up that night before. So when we go in now, you know, he got to go to court to see if they're gonna keep him in detention. So it just so happened, this is my pre-trial. I got to go to court. So tell my witnesses, I told them who was out there and everything, the lawyer. So we get in the courtroom. We get in the courtroom and they start talking. And they telling the stories like, so now they call out their witness against me. It's Sean Coleman. So I'm looking over here at the at the DA table, and this dude, he a witness against me. Like, I'm like, now you know I ain't do this.
how long you was rocking with him?
Like I knew him, like we have been in detention together years back.
Yeah. So that was
So
yeah.
yeah, and I knew, like I said, I hugged him with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he acted like he didn't know me.
Mm. Of
Like,
course. I
like,
mean, of course. What else could he have acted like though?
like straight up, like. So when they start asking the questions about what happened, now Sean's testifying, and he says, "I don't get to testify first because you know they got to show the evidence against you." So Sean says, him and Dan and them was standing outside of the gas station. I came up from behind the building. I had a hoodie on. He said I had a hoodie on, and I walked up to them and said, "You got a problem with me?" And he said, I shot. He said he only seen this part of my face. He said I shot him in the stomach, walked away, and came back and shot the man in the head. So I'm puzzled. I'm like, he's straight lying. Like I know I didn't do this. I don't have no gun residue. I know I didn't do it. So I tapped my lawyer on the shoulder after he finished testifying. I said, call Tony Thomas and Lamont Parsley from the back. So Lamont was in a holding cell for something. Tony had come for his juvenile arraignment for to see if he gonna stay in it. So he Lupo turned around and he looked at me. He says, he said, you don't want me to go talk to him? I said, no. I said, they're gonna tell you the same story that I told you. That all of us is out there when Sean told us what happened.
Mm.
So he goes and he calls him. He calls Lamont Parsley first.
This supposed to be where you go.
Yeah, yeah. He called Lamont Parsley first. So Lamont comes out and he says, do you know Mr. Porter? Do you know Eugene? Lamont says, see, at that time, you know, back in the day, we didn't really go by our real names unless we was in school.
Yeah.
Lamont said, I know Smoke. He's like, who you talking? They was like, who you talking? He said, oh, that's Smokey. So it's all right. So were you out there when Sean told y'all the story about what happened? He said, yeah. He said, so you know Sean Coleman? He was like, yeah, I know Sean Coleman. So all of y'all know each other. He said, yeah. He said, Smoke not from around here. You know what I'm saying? He moved to Virginia. His family from here. So you was out there when Sean told the story about, he's like, yeah, all of us was out there. So okay. Sent 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 Lamont in the back, called Tony Thomas. Tony comes out, they question him, he says the same thing. Says again, he says, my nickname. While Sean is telling my real name the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
everybody else knows my nickname.
Right.
So they ask him, they say, do you know Sean Coleman? Tony Thomas says, yeah, he's supposed to be like my cousin or something. He's supposed to be like my first cousin or something like that. So it's like, okay. They let him go. They call Sean back in. They say, do you know Lamont Parsley? He's like, I don't really know him like that. I just seen him around the neighborhood. So they say, do you know Tony Thomas? He's like, no, I don't really know him. Tony just told the people you was his cousin.
Right.
So when they was like, yo, all right, they told him to leave back out. Judge Sam Campbell told him to leave back out. Then now it's time to see what's gonna happen. The Judge Campbell said everything that Sean Coleman saying is a lie. He said Mr. Porter didn't kill that man. He said, so I dismissed the case. But at the time, and this is stuff that we don't know because we don't study law, the Commonwealth appealed it.
Hold on. Time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. So I just want to go through this entire process. One, you didn't do it, and you said present day the family knows you didn't do it.
Yeah.
All this is public. Everything you're speaking on.
Everything is probably like you go Hopewell, Petersburg, everybody knows me.
Right. But in that moment, though, I just want to go through the timeline again. In that moment, you saying by no means you're an innocent kid. You do what you did, you dabbled out there. But this line you never crossed.
No.
Get picked up. You still got hope. You're like, oh, the legal system's good. Da, 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 da. I'm all right. I'm gonna play it cool. I've been here. So maybe not here, but I've been through this before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you go at, you got a decent lawyer, sounds like, what I'm saying, at least somebody that's working with you. You pull two people out, you get that requested. They expose the fact that this guy is not telling the truth. The judge
Mm-hmm.
acknowledges that he's not telling the truth. He dismisses it. I'm thinking there's a pause. I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, this part, because I've never heard of this. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just thinking about what I heard yesterday. I was chopping up with a guy, and we were talking about how they were releasing thousands, and they said they were going to
Mm-hmm.
release 7, and then they turned around and they basically cut the number in half and only released like 1,000. But those
Mm-hmm.
other 4 thought they were going home and what they might have felt. So you thought you were walking out the door,
I thought it was over.
and then how long did it take before you
Jack,
heard?
the Commonwealth, Jack Gould said it like it was second. He's like, I appeal. At the time, I didn't know that, saying when we hear appeal, we hear that's from our side of the bench. He says, I appeal it. And so when he said it, he said, I appeal. So I'm looking at my lawyer, I'm looking at the judge because I'm not understanding this. Here it is, I'm 17, I'm not understanding what you just told, saying you appealing like I didn't do this. What are you appealing?
Man.
So again, my lawyer, saying, some of my family there, my lawyer, he turns around and he like, hold on, because I'm in my emotions. I'm about to cry because like, hold on, like I don't supposed to be in detention no more. I got things I need to do.
It ain't supposed to be like that.
Yeah, this ain't supposed to be happening. And so the lawyer says, well, can he go? He said, he asked Judge Campbell, he said, well, what do y'all want to do? And it was like, well, my lawyer said, well, can he go home to his house in Norfolk until y'all do what y'all got to do? You know what I'm saying? Until we, and the
Right.
judge looked and he was like, keep him in detention for his own safety.
Come on, man. I feel like, I mean, now you were a juvenile,
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of gets, but I feel like a person should have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, not to keep getting my stuff, but I remember one time, um, on Sussex 2, me and my cell partner, we were running store box at poker game. We were getting money, and I guess guys had dropped the kite on us, and
Mm-hmm.
they said they were gonna hurt us. And
Mm-hmm.
the hitter comes in because he's got to. He catches wind of the kite, notifies us, but he gives us a chance. He says, "You can sign." I never heard of it.
You,
You can sign
yeah.
a waiver basically, and you can stay in the pod. But we did our job. We
Mm-hmm.
notified you, and that's what it just brought me to. I just feel like, hey, you should have a choice. But you're a juvenile. I don't even understand. I don't even know what was going on mentally and emotionally with you in those moments. I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of touched on it, but
Yeah. It was. It
too much.
was. It,
You go from high to low.
yeah.
That's a lot.
And now once when he says keep him in there for his own safety and stuff, it started. It was like, okay, like this still can't be real. Like I didn't do this. So I go back to the tension. I'm sick, I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? But you can't let it show. You know what I'm saying? You still have to be the little tough guy. There's no crying,
Right.
you know. So I get back to tension and I stay in detention for a little while. But then I started getting angry. My god brother come to detention. Like everybody's coming in detention, everybody knows I'm innocent.
Right.
So my god brother get locked up. He in there with me for a little while, and like I'm getting closer and closer to 18. So now everybody's like, man, we need to go to jail, go to the jail. You know what I'm saying? Because they treat you like a kid here. You about
Mm.
to be an adult. So I started getting in trouble in detention. Um, and they sent me to the jail. When they sent me to the jail, now I'm in there with grown men. But again, what a lot of people don't understand about charges, and when guys think they could do these funny bunny charges and stuff like that, your charge gets to jail and prison before you do.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Your
Like,
reputation will precede
yeah,
you.
yeah. Before you get there, whatever you're in there for is already there by the time you get upstairs to the jail.
Yeah.
And I get to the jail, and a lot of the old heads. It was an old head, a white dude, a trustee named Coolwater, and he used to always like be on me, like be careful, you
Right.
know, be careful about this. Watch how you do this. Don't stand against the set. Don't stand against the
He was
the bar.
schooling. He
Yeah,
was
he
came
was
in.
schooling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
because
young.
he had been in and out of prison all his life, so he seen this younger, and then like I said, they knew that I didn't do it, so he was trying to just in case this stuff don't go right. You know what I'm saying? Be prepared.
Right.
So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to I'm standing there and no evidence, still the same, no evidence, no
Yeah.
gun, no
We
motive.
court. We back in court right now.
Now we about to go to trial.
Okay, that's what I want. I wanted. I was about to ask you. So
Yeah, we
we go
we 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 we
yeah,
going to trial.
trial
So now it's time for trial time, and the morning of trial.
round two.
Yeah, but this is the first time I've been in and out of court a bunch of times. This is the first time that they didn't put the shackles and stuff on me.
Mm.
So again, like the sheriffs and everybody, they just seen me come in and out. They just seen the evidence again. Like you going home, like you ain't gotta put the shackles on. You ain't gotta. So I'm going here like we about to get this over with. But the morning of the morning of my my lawyer come to me. I'm in the holding cell. So we in the holding cell with everybody, all the rest of the people that's going to court that day and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And your lawyer come speak to you about the trial, what's going on before. Because
Right.
I don't ask to take lie detector tests. Everything. You know what I'm saying? I done passed lie detector tests. They say it ain't permissible. All this stuff. Still no gun, no motive, no reason. And the lawyer come to me and he say, I got him. I got him. I said, what you got? He said, I got you a plea bargain for 3 years. A first degree murder charge. You say, I got you a plea bargain for 3 years.
But you know you're innocent. Now you faced with now you got to make real choices.
Got to make choices. And I said, but I didn't do it.
I want to stop right there. I'm stop right here. This is what we got to understand. Anybody that's watching this that comes across this every day, Monday through Friday, exception of holidays, somebody's fighting for their life in a courtroom. And it literally can come down to numbers. And the craziest thing about it all is the person that's offering the number, whoever comes up with the number, we're going to start there. A lot of times people don't even know who comes up with the number when it comes to plea. But when these numbers are presented, it's not just based on what's going on with your case. It's based on the way that person's looking at it, the way that feels about you. So here we go. We got him back in court, round 2, innocent, fighting, think he getting ready to go home. Boom, they come with a plea. And I know, and the crazy thing, for anybody that's been in the system, anybody that's been doing time, anybody that's ever did time, been in a courtroom, you're facing a charge like that, innocent or not. I know for me, I'm not gonna speak. I can't speak for you. I gotta speak for me. Innocent or not, the way this country's set up, its track record, because the cat's out the bag. I'm not saying anything that ain't been said on. I might think about that 3. Is as messed up as it is, but then again, I got to think about, well, I'm gonna have certain things on my record, or you know what I'm saying. I got to think about all this. So that's why I just want to throw my 2 cents and get back. So they just offered you 3, but
This
you know innocent, and you already beat it once.
They offered me 3 years, and he even tried to make it sweeter because he says, well, you got a bad record and they can violate you because you know what I'm saying, because all this together, you know what I'm saying,
Now, right.
and they can violate you and send you to St. Brad's for 3 years to finish off your juvenile, your Beaumont time. So you can go to St. Brad's. You know what I'm saying? You go, no, they said you could go back to Beaumont for 3 years. That's what they said. They said, but the plea bargain was the 3 years and send me to St. Brad's, and I'd be home by the time I turned 21 to the youth offender program.
Okay.
And I said, man, every time I'm taking no 3 years, I said I didn't kill that man. He says this. He says they're gonna give you 50 years. And I know for some of the people that don't cuss and stuff, and I said, I'm gonna do it standing on my motherfucking head. Straight like that. Like that's all I could tell them. And the people, because like the people in the back, they were standing there. When you're talking to your lawyer, you don't get no privacy. So they back there, and now they mad. The inmates mad because they know like Youngin ain't do this, like Smoke ain't do this. Like it's like it's like, man, that's messed up, man. Man, you know he ain't do that, man. So everybody they are irate, you know what I'm saying? And not only once did they try it, the plea bargain. So come back about 30 minutes later, get me and take me downstairs to another holding cell by myself. My lady lawyer comes in, Joan O'Donnell's there, and they bring somebody in the holding cell. They bring my mama. They bring my mama in the holding cell with me. And she's sitting next to me. And Joan O'Donnell, my lawyer, sitting on next to her. And she says, they say they trying to give you a plea bargain, Smoke. I said, Ma, I ain't do it. I'm not pleading guilty. I said, y'all know my child. If I plead guilty to everything I ever done. So she looks at me. She looks at the lawyer. She says, Smokey, they talking about killing you.
No question.
They talking about giving you the death penalty or life in prison. I said, I'm not pleading guilty to killing somebody I never seen before. I never saw Danny in real life.
That's crazy.
I said, I'm not pleading guilty to something I never did. I didn't do it. She looked at me, she kissed me on my cheek, and she said, he's not gonna plead guilty. You gotta go and fight.
But her mother knew Truth though.
Yeah, she said he ain't do it. He not gonna plead guilty.
Hey, man. Some things you can't put value on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know. Peace of mind is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm thinking about your age though. That's not
Yeah.
that seems like a grown man decision. Not saying you weren't a grown man right then, but that seems like a decision that's made in later years.
Yeah.
But so many of us, I told my story up here too. So many of us are faced with these grown man decisions because a lot of us got hit at 17, 18,
Mm-hmm.
19. That's when we got locked up. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of us are home now, but as you can see, a lot of us got hit with those numbers, man. But go ahead. So you there?
I
You
tell him no.
you tell
So
them,
now it's trial time. It's time to fight.
ooh,
So we get upstairs, and the trial begins. So they bring their witnesses against me, and they have Sean Coben testifying against me, but also they bring a white guy named Bobby Piner. So the story is Bobby says he was sitting in his truck. He hears a pop. He looks up at the rearview mirror and he sees a bald-headed guy with a beard coming off the body. He said it was me. They said, Mr. Piner, did you pick Mr. Porter out of did you pick somebody out of the lineup? He said, yeah. They said, did you put some type of mark on the picture or anything? He said, yeah, I put an X on it. They pulled my picture out. It has no X on it. So now the next story, when Sean's testifying,
oh man,
he says that now he knows about this because the picture or whatever, what they told him, whatever they gave Sean as ammunition, he says, they asked him to tell the story again. He said, I came up to him, I had the hood on, and I had the gun up in the sleeve. He says he never saw the gun. He said, I raised my hand and shot the man, went away, came back and shot him again. So they said, did you saw the coat? You saw him? He said, yeah. He said, did it have what did it have on it? Did it have anything on the back of it? He said, nah. He said, just a blue jacket. They said, you sure? He's like, yeah. He said, it had nothing on it. They took the jacket out of the bag, out of the evidence bag. Had a big Georgetown bulldog on the back of it. And everybody saying that they saw me running away from the person did it running away from the scene of the crime. But you saying that it had nothing on the back of the jacket. It was a Georgetown starter jacket with the big bulldog head on the back. They test the gun. They test the coat because nobody seen the gun. They say the gun was up in the sleeve. They test the now. This is when I'm nervous because I told you this was my youngin' coat. So they test the sleeve of the coat, and there's no powder residue.
so
So no powder residue.
testimonies,
The testimonies is shaky.
no physical.
So yeah, all this. So now I call my witnesses. At the time of the crime, when it happened, I was in a house full of people. And so when I was in jail, a white man was in jail with me. His girlfriend worked at the store. She told him, she said, they got the wrong kid in there for killing that man. She said, I saw the guy running away from the scene. She said, it wasn't that kid that they got locked up. So when I started introducing witnesses, the lady that was at the store, she testified it wasn't him. They got the wrong person. The guy that was standing next to Sean, Norris Hardy, he testified, but they called him as a witness.
This is
They
crazy.
said he testified on my behalf. They asked him, had he ever seen me before? He said, no, he ain't never seen me before. You standing right next to the victim, but you never saw me before. But the other guy saying, the guy that got the charge, the murder and the robbery charge, he's saying that is me.
And the other guy seen you through a rear view.
The other guy seen somebody through a real, but when I got arrested, I had an afro and I wasn't even growing hair on my face yet. The police testified that Mr. Piner told him a different story. He said that he was looking straight forward when he saw.
So, and I'm because there's some more things I definitely want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing your witnesses back and forth in court. I want to go to the day of sentencing. Well, not, I want to go to the day of verdict. I don't want to
The
go.
ver-
My
they
fault.
found me guilty. They found me guilty at that moment. After everything. Oh man, that was a
Same day.
after. Oh yeah, the same day. We was in court all day.
And
Because I was
they
nervous. My lawyer told me not to take a jury trial because it was gonna be all white people on there. And at the time I was young and I was studying as a Muslim. So you know what I'm saying, the white man was the devil.
so you went up. You
So
went in front of the judge. You rolled the dice.
yes, I took the judge. The judge
I,
said before and if you read the newspaper article I sent you, if you seen the last part of so we know about murder, and murder's supposed to be beyond a reasonable doubt. You know
right.
what I'm saying? After everything was said and done, the evidence and all this stuff, Judge Lamons, he took his glasses down and he said this case was 50-50. It could have went either way. I know I'm going home. I'm looking at the victim's family. The whole time, I'm looking at his family to let them know.
And the judge said that out loud, though.
It's on the newspaper article. At the bottom of the newspaper article,
I gotta go back and look at that.
yeah, the last thing he said
I'm
this case was
there,
down
man.
the middle.
Yo, that's crazy.
He said this case was down the middle. It was 50-50. It could have went either way. And he says, but I find the defendant Eugene Porter guilty. I heard a scream behind me. When I turned around, everyone had ran out the courtroom. The only people that was left in the courtroom was the girl Wormy and her mother. And they were saying they were supposed to be witnesses for the Commonwealth, but when they said that they told them that they got the wrong person, they didn't call them to testify.
All right. All right. So we obviously know what's going on with the judicial system. You you
Fast,
you
fast
shine,
forward.
you shine, but I just want to say you shine a light. We can sit here all day and we can say,
Yeah.
yo, the judicial system is jacked up. We can say
Mhm.
it. We can feel that way about something. We can feel that way about, but it a lot of times,
Until you walk in it and have real.
and here we go. We got a real life situation right here. Something that I don't know. This is for me, and I did 16 years, 11 months. You might be the first, wrongfully convicted person I knowingly spoke to,
Mhm.
and I did time. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
this is new to me as well. Um, you going into, wrongfully convicted. He says it's 50-50. So many times you're thinking you're getting ready to go home.
Thinking I'm
Up,
about to go.
up and down. These are the things that affect us. You know,
Mental.
these are the
Yeah.
things that affect us. It's not necessarily we can survive the physical.
Yeah, most definitely.
We fought physical wars and we've been in certain situations, but it's the mental things that we've got to endure.
Hmm.
And I just sit here, I'm just thinking about your age,
Yeah.
moment, the situation. I'm thinking about your mother because I'm thinking about my mother when I got locked. Because for me,
Yeah.
when I looked up,
And I had a girlfriend that we thought she was pregnant. So even when my mom came to me, she was like, what about the girl? You know what I'm saying? You might have a kid. I was
yeah,
like, I still couldn't take that plea bargain.
no, because you knew,
Yeah.
and for me, if I was the judge and a guy gets off for 3 years, he shoots it down. I'm thinking he's innocent. Maybe I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's seen things before that would but there's got to be certain things that are signifying. Okay, this guy is serious about his innocence.
And like I said, the judge, he said this case was 50-50, like down the middle, no gun. They still haven't told me, like, and the pit, again, I iterate, I've never seen Danny in
Ever
real life.
face to face.
They showed me, my lawyer showed me a picture, a dead picture of him. I looked at the picture. He said, "You want to see?" I said, "Yeah." I took the picture. I looked at it. I said, "I still don't know this man," and gave him the picture back. And after they found me guilty, You know, you got to go back for your sentencing.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth is asking for life.
Life
They're asking,
out.
like, yeah, like real life. Like, they're asking for life.
Yeah.
My pre-trial report, and I still have it upstairs in my apartment. It says life, life. Um,
Because you had so many charges prior to, or
yeah,
because of charge, or
yeah, like because I have been what they say I was a little bad kid. You know what I'm saying? Run away, all the trouble.
for anybody that,
Um,
when he's speaking about pre-sentencing report, or he's talking about when we, if you ever
you
heard
get so many points.
about guidelines, points, it's basically
Hmm.
a system that they've created to kind of identify the amount of time that you should get in regards to your sentence for the crime you've been convicted of. And it's crazy because it's not just the crime. It could be where you're from, how old you are. It's
Hmm.
so many. Yeah, one parent, two, high school diploma, GED. There's so many different factors that evidently they feel are proven and tied to justify the amount of time they give an individual for a sentence. So I just want to break that down because that's another question that sometimes gets asked.
So we in time for sentencing, and they still talking about life. They still talking about the death penalty. All this is on the table, and the judge says nothing Mr. Porter has done warrants him spending the rest of his life in prison or dying because of it. He says we're going to sentence him to 50 years with 25 suspended.
Mm.
And when you looking at that time in my life in 1993, like people that may be watching and thinking about, really that was, to me, that was a death sentence or a life in prison, because we thought the world was coming to an end in 2000.
Yeah.
So when they saying 50 years with 25 suspended. Now, when I get back to the jail after the sentencing, I call my mother and I say, if I go up here and these people try something, I ain't never coming home. Because if somebody be on some funny money, gay stuff, try to rape me, I ain't coming home. Um, but I'm looking at the time, and people telling me back there, back in the, and this is what people don't know about Virginia. Also, Virginia has three laws.
Hmm.
Before the new law, it was three. It's three different sentencing laws that we didn't know about until later. So people, they show me guys in the prison. They're like, oh, you got 25 years. Okay, you do uh 5 years and 5 years and 4 years and 6 months, and you're gonna start going up for parole. So that was, it was like, you know what I'm saying, on 25 years, for every 5 years it was a year. So they
Mm.
was like, you do 4 years and some months, man, you can go for parole, you get out. I'm like, oh. Even though I'm still like, that's still, I don't want to do that, but 4 years,
You got,
but
yeah, you got hope in it. You know,
yeah, still has some hope of being young. So, but I'm mandatory in 12 years according to what, under that law, under the old law,
yes, that's what I,
under
okay.
the 30 for 30 law. But I didn't know until I got to the system, and I met my first counselor, Miss Tan. And so I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Um, I'm not gonna want to do what y'all tell me to do. So first, rewind. Yeah, I met my counselor first. I met my counselor first. And so I was like, I'm not gonna be wanting to do what y'all want to do. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, this, so she brought me out my time computation.
Mm-hmm.
And it said that I go up for parole in 12 years and I'm mandatory in 18.
Mm.
So it's another gut shot.
It's like every time you turn, man.
It was another gut shot. It was another standing 8 count.
I want to stop you right there, because I want to go into the prison bit. I want to ask some questions about Because I got it in the title. It's up there. Over 18 years in prison, only the strong survive. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm gonna ask some questions. I just want you, you know, give us
Mm-hmm.
give us some answers. Just take me through it. Take us through it. I know a little bit about what's going on, but such a couple of different compounds I might not have had,
Mm-hmm.
um, might not have touched. What compounds, what prisons were you on, and can you tell everybody what levels they were?
My first prison was The Rock. It was Southampton Correctional Center, aka Gladiator School, aka Bad Boys Fraternity. Like, yeah, that was the first prison I went to. And my first day in C3, I was looking out the window and a dude got stabbed and ran to medical.
Which
So
that was normal up there though.
that was yeah, it was like that. It was that when dude Big Jersey got stabbed and ran to medical, it was like, yo, so this is real. So now I gotta get a knife. And but before the rewind when this some of my first experiences that I saw. Because you come from receiving first before you go to prison.
And that was receiving, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, but I went to Southampton. I went to the farm. I was at Southampton receiving,
And then you got sent to the farm.
and then I got sent to the farm.
What level was the farm back then?
It was level 3 because this was for they didn't start doing the level 4s, 5s, and 6s.
ABC. They what?
Yeah, it was ABC custody.
Okay,
You know,
got
what I'm saying? I was C custody,
which was the highest you could
the
go.
highest one.
So
You know
you
what I'm
was
saying?
you was in the warfield, the battlefield.
Everybody that I had grew up around in prison up at that time had came from like the wall and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like the real like I've been there with some of the people that they write books about. I
Right.
grew up around these dudes, like the killers, the Black Ninja, uh, Thomas. Like a lot of these old heads, like raised me and kept me, like Thomas Hainsworth, the first person that killed Ronald McDonald, like yeah,
So how
like
long
those.
how long were you on Southampton on the farm?
I was on Southampton from the early '90s to 2000. I got kicked off of Southampton.
So you rolled for a minute.
Yeah,
What is the hands down? I don't know if there is one because you were there for a minute. What is the hands down either craziest thing you seen or heard up there, or uh, uh, you know, it might not even be a negative thing. It might be what's the most impactful memory. What's the one thing? Because for me, I might. It's weird with my prisons. It's almost like I forget years. I don't forget years, but I can't.
yeah, moments. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
certain moments from certain
Uh-huh.
institutions, certain prisons that stick out. What's a moment up there, good or bad, that kind of left an impression on you that might have shaped you?
The good moment for me, to be totally honest, was getting knowledge of self.
Okay.
Like that was the thing that really saved me.
Having time to really start studying history
Yeah,
and science.
when I became a 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was used to listen to, I heard about the Nation of Gods and Earths when I was in Norfolk, but I didn't understand because it was like, oh, this black man running around talking about he God, talking about the Father,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't understand it. But it wasn't until I was sitting in the TV rooms and I used to hear the guys building in the ciphers. And at the time when I got knowledge of self, I became an elder god early. At 18, I was an elder god because I was people were stagnated. Some of the guys were stagnated on things, and I was like, this ain't what the Father intended. So when I was the first books I was reading was like I made all the kids, the people that I enlightened, the guys that I enlightened, they had to read Albert Einstein. And then Mind Light and the Powerful. And I said that Albert Einstein used to get so caught up in his thoughts that small things didn't matter. He forgot how to tie a shoe. The
Mm-hmm.
same path that he would walk home, he would get lost in thought.
Right.
So when I got knowledge of self, it helped me. The weight of the world is 6 sextillion tons. It made me be able to hold the weight of the world on my shoulders because if I would have stayed in any religion at that time, I probably would have went crazy because of the fact that I was a Muslim before I went to prison. So here it is. If man didn't know that I didn't commit this crime, I'm praying to Allah 5 times a day. And I'm saying like, yo, Allah, you know I didn't do this. Though people have to go through trials and tribulations, give me something else. Give me an old drug charge. Give me a stealing charge. Give me something that justifies, but don't give me murder and I didn't take a man's life.
It seems like, just based what I'm hearing is you on a journey,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get sent to a sea level. And from my experience, the higher level the institution,
Yeah, the train going past. You
you
say it
good,
was again?
you good. From my experience with being on those higher level institutions, is the more serious people are when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
whatever with. I've met the most serious militant Muslim brothers. I've
Mm-hmm.
the most serious, Christians that know the Bible in and out. I,
Mm-hmm.
with 5 percenters, my journey was similar. I know hands down, if I didn't get a chance to know myself, I man, I wouldn't look at the world. I wouldn't pursue certain
Mm-hmm.
things the way that I do.
And,
Um,
and and that was it.
so that was a good thing that came from Southampton. You got booted off there in 2000. What was the next compound you went to?
I got sent to Greensville for fraternizing with the officers
Lord,
at
Greensville.
Southampton.
Greensville. I was on Greensville, man.
Now Greensville, when I got to Greensville, it was very territorial because they had the out of state inmates. They
Uh,
had Louisville, they had Vermont, they had Delaware, they
I
had
heard when they came through, it was crazy because they were on a couple of instances. They were on Haynesville
yeah,
Correctional. Got
yeah.
violent.
And even in the time I was in the prison when they shipped everybody to Texas.
Mm.
Like when they was sending Virginia dudes to Texas and dudes was coming back like, yo, whoa, the Somalians, they whooping them. Like, yeah.
They get, and this what if you get locked up, technically you don't have control of your life.
Mm-mm.
So if they want to send you to Mars, they can send you to Mars, and you can scream and kick and plead and say, hey, I can't see my family from that far. They're not gonna care.
Yeah.
So that's just another wake up moment. But you get to Greensville. Any crazy, any memorable moments on Greensville? Any
What,
milestone?
what, when I went to Greensville, like you say, it was dealing with all the different. I built with the first nine born from Delaware, and they was telling me like just the difference in their prison system. Like they working for 9 cents. Here it is, we working for
Oh
23 cents.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You
like
hear
the money thing was different. Like we learned how to live off of $32 a month. You
man.
know,
We
so when
talk
people say like out here, like yo, like one of the things too, bro, that I'm very thankful for now is that I smile.
about.
Inside we never smile, and I think we touched on the basis of, and anybody can say I never got depressed in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But inside prison, it wasn't a whole lot of smiling. It wasn't a whole lot of smiling or playing. You know, it was studying. It was sectioned off by areas where you were from, or it was where what religion you were. You know, it was all of that. That really like build you into becoming a man. I learned like even with my father, what I'm saying. One time when I got to Lunenburg, I think it was after so many years, I hadn't seen my father since I was like 8 years old. And my father wrote me a letter, and I told him like, "You will always be my dad, but prison is my father
Yeah.
because
And
prison taught me how to be a man."
you know what's crazy, and that's the perfect segue. A lot of it, and I touched on it a little bit earlier. A lot of us got locked up early teens, late.
Hmm.
When you look at science, medical science, when you're dealing with the frontal cortex, all that, just the forming of the mind and how they say an individual is not really mature enough to make
Hmm.
decisions. and not even really know who they are until they're 25. This is not me saying it. This is
Mm-hmm.
this is medical, medical science. Um, you know, so many of us were raised behind those bars, behind that barbed wire fence. And don't get me wrong, it's a horrible place. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's, there's so many negatives to it, but the positives that you're seeing now is you're seeing individuals that are coming home that did 10 years, that did 15 years, did 20 years. You're seeing guys come home that did 25 years, guys that are making parole. They open the doors up in
Mm-hmm.
Commonwealth of Virginia. I think I want to say, was it 27? One of those years,
Mm-hmm.
2018, I want to say, they started really letting people out. And then again this year, prison raised you.
Mm-hmm.
It helped mold you. I know it definitely helped mold me. I've had
Mm-hmm.
people close to me say it saved my life. I don't know if
Yeah,
you if you
most
might
definitely.
or you feel like that, feel the same. Present day, going through all that, saying you always maintained a certain attitude. You always stood on your foundation when it came to
Mm-hmm.
looking at a murder charge and saying, I don't care if they're giving me 3 years. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going. I didn't do it. Now, businessman. What,
Mm-hmm.
what other title? Let's talk about the positive
Oh,
stuff. Talk about
so
now.
I
We
do mentoring.
made it through the storm. Let me ask you this real quick before we get into that. Before we get into that, because I know people are gonna want to ask it. Sean Coleman, what happened to him?
Right now, he's locked up. He took the PPP money and bought some drugs and fell asleep behind the wheel. So he's in Hopewell jail right now.
Okay, so okay, that's
But
unfortunate.
I had to stay away from because of him. I stay away from Hopewell
Ain't nothing wrong with.
because even though in 2008 I had to forgive two people. I had to forgive Sean Coleman
Right,
in order to make it when I got out here, and I had to forgive my mother.
right.
For I didn't see my mother for 10 years of my bed,
Gotcha.
and I grew up in an abusive home. So I had to forgive my mother. What she called whippings were not whippings, but it was a chain's never been broke. So I had to forgive her because I had nightmares up until 2008 about her whooping me. So I had to forgive in order to make it out here and be like I tell people all the time in the environment where I'm at now, I've been through a little bit of everything. So there's no story that's too far off that a person comes to me, you don't understand. Nah, I understand.
Yeah, man, I can definitely. My strong suit out here. I found success not in what I know, but just my ability to connect with people because
Mm-hmm.
I've been through it all. I've made all the mistakes. I've made all the
Mm-hmm.
bad choices. Still here though. So and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I positive. What's going on with you today? You know,
So I took what I did in prison, and even though I didn't, when I was at Greensville with my boxing coach, I wanted to open a boxing gym for guys when they came home because I was looking at the fact that everybody had an F on their record, and even if you're a good sparring partner, but I didn't really get into boxing until later out here. But I came home, I was working out, and people used to see me working out outside and running, and so people started inquiring about, yo, you know what I'm saying? Let me work out with you, da 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 da. And so I started training people outside. I started with 3 people, then I had 5 people, and one day I was out in the streets running, and I had 25 people with me.
mm,
I started off with another guy because we guys that have been locked up, we used to have this misconception of I ain't hanging with no dude that ain't been locked up.
yeah, yeah,
Dude ain't been locked up, he don't know what I've been through, da 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 da. And I had that same concept. So I got with a guy who had been locked up, and I was like, yo, we can build this together. And we had started a thing called Kingdom Building.
mm-hmm,
And and I didn't know the jealousy set in because
mm,
I'm not from here and this is his town. And
mm-hmm,
but more people wanted to train with me, so we separated. He quit, and I kept doing it, even though I didn't want to. And I say like God of the universe kept me training people,
mm,
and as I kept training people, but I had to ask God one Friday night. I was like, you keep telling me to do this. I said, but what I'm gonna call it? And he said temple, and I was like, temple. Okay, what kind of temple? I said, it just can't be no temple. You know what I'm saying? like it wasn't no big like people say, oh, our high voice. It was just like I can hear it, and it was like strong. And I said, okay, strong. I said that what is the S was standing, and the G was God.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to bed. I went to rest, and 2:30 that Saturday morning, I woke up out my rest. I sat up, and it said the S was standing, the T was together, the R was relying. I said, what's the O? He said, put it together, on, standing together, relying on God, strong temple. And so I went back and I started doing. I had no money. I had no money when I started this. Like I did a raffle. Um, if you can look inside here, like everything in here is owned by Strong Temple by us.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no money like that to say like what to do. You know what to. I had no funds, but I started training people. And when I started training people for $10 a session, $10 a session, or $20 a week for personal training.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved into brick and mortar. So I started in 2014. I came home February 6, 2012. I got my first job March the 9th,
Mm-hmm.
the day after my born day. I worked at factories and all that, but I kept getting pushed out of the factories and stuff. Like that wasn't where the universe wanted me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept diving heavy into the training. Whereas in 2016, a building came over. I walked past this building and I asked the universe, "Is this it?" He said, "Yeah." So I found out how much it was. The rent was $1,000 a month.
Mm.
Um, I didn't have it, so I did a
Don't,
fundraiser.
don't come to Atlanta looking for a building.
Yeah, I did. I got the fundraiser. I had a guy that I worked for. I call him a big brother now. He owned a funeral home,
Mm.
and I went to him with my petition, and he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And I told him what I was doing and stuff, and he wrote me 2 checks. I
Mm.
didn't look at them. I put them in my pocket, and I told him come down here with me so I could show him what my vision was. And when I did that, he was like, okay. When I did go and look at the check, he wrote me a check for $300 and a check for $700.
Mm.
He didn't know me from a hole in the wall,
Hey,
but he believed in what I said and what I was doing, and we've been cool ever since.
for sure.
Um, so with now, as the years go by, saying here it is. I've been home 10 years. February 6th made 10 years that I've been home,
Rest.
and like not only do I do personal training, I'm a part of East End Boxing. We're dubbed East End South as far as out of Richmond, Virginia. I'm a USA boxing coach. I'm a life coach. I'm certified life coach. Um, I dabbled in the QMHP world, you know what I'm saying? But because of my crime with me having a barrier crime, they won't let me get deep into it. But I got all my rights back in 2017, I believe it was. I got all my rights back. I'm still trying to go to court to get my gun rights back.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I can't do things like go hunting or things like that because I'm a felon. And I feel like if I would have did it, like when I told the judge, I went 2 times, and I told the judge, like if I would have committed my crime, I wouldn't care because I put myself in a position for my rights to be taken away.
Right.
But don't tell me I can serve on a jury, that I can be a notary, or I can run for public office, but I can't carry a gun.
Right.
You know.
I want to say, man, salute to you because I see what's going on social media. I'm not in VA. My root.
Hmm.
I'm not there, but I see and I hear. Um, you're super proactive with the youth. You're
Most definitely.
helping build people up. I don't know who the lady's name is, man. I see a post from time to time.
Yeah.
Seen one where she was deadlifting and squatting. She
Oh, Mama, Miss Ellen. Yeah, that's Miss Ellen. She's 57 years old. She
listen,
came to me. She was fat. She was like 400 pounds.
listen. When every time I see her, is motivate. It's
Yeah.
motivation. Um, we need brothers like you. We
Yeah.
know there's a war going on. There's a war
Mhm.
going on. in a hood near you, in a suburb near you. It's really important to try to get out in front of this thing, get with the youth. For the longest, the legal system was reactive instead of proactive. And
Yes, most definitely.
now they're figuring it out. They're like, oh, these guys that have been through it, they're the ones that they're going to be able to speak and really
Mhm.
provide solutions and connect the dots. So,
And that's like you say to say that's where I want to go next. I really want to do public speaking, because not only I really because I have a story to tell.
mm,
And like I said, I've been through a little bit of everything. So when they telling me these kids and why they ain't and abuse and this and that, like nobody's listening,
hmm
And that's my one of my mission statements is like, hear me out, help everybody achieve respect. You know what I'm saying? I want us to be on this common ground and sit there and understand each other and why. And then giving them some ultimate, like, yo, this is what will happen to you. Like, if you want to go and live in a bathroom, you know what I'm saying? And I
yeah,
speak to them about their brand.
hmm
Each one of my kids, like one kid, I say, if the school called me and say, like, I don't have any children of my own, so I raised the neighborhood. If the school called me and say one of the kids in Strong Temple did this, it depends on what it was, and I can tell them, oh yeah, nah, that wasn't my kid. If this kid, they say he stole, nah. If you say he a ladies man, yeah, or he said something slick, yeah, but nah. But they need to know what real authentic love is. And like my kids, I discipline them, but I love up on them too. So
right.
they knew it's structure with being around me.
And I
And
and with that, man, obviously people know what's going on because I know parents are on board 1,000%. You working in the community, I know it's gonna keep growing, obviously.
mm-hmm,
Um, but I want to segue into this final point, and I always ask anybody that's up here, either, either or.
right, right.
It's perfect timing right there. That's on cue. But
mm-hmm,
you can answer either or. Either
mm-hmm,
what was the greatest lesson you learned through this all, right? Through your entire journey, or what's one thing you would tell anybody that's on the verge of possibly um, making a choice that would lead them to prison or lead them down a negative path or worse.
um, if I could tell them or the young your choices, like if you make these choices to be ready to commit to them all the time. Like I tell my kids all the time about your brain. You know, be careful about the choices. Like 5 minutes of pleasure could give you a lifetime of pain. Like know the difference between counterfeit. I used to ask some women this, like, what's the difference between counterfeit money and real money? It's like, well, they all look the same. You can spend it, yeah, but one can give you pain and one can give you pleasure.
Mhm.
So it's just like think before you do anything, because there's nothing like you said earlier, like physically we can do time, but it's
Mhm.
the mental part that they don't tell you about.
Yeah,
It's the lights being not getting turned off. Like one of the things, and I know we gotta go. Um,
man,
not being able to go and open the refrigerator, not being able to go and take a shower, like take a bath,
no
to
question.
take a shower, not being able to see. Like I explained to you that one time when I was sitting on the bench working out, and I saw a leaf.
Hmm
And the trees, when people know about prison, the trees are so far away. And I was trying to understand when I was sitting there, like, how did this leaf get here? And I studied that leaf like for hours, just looking at it, like the veins and all that. But it's the small things,
Yeah,
you know, not getting visits, being
yeah.
simple to the mountains and not knowing the Blue Ridge Mountains and this and that and cold outside and not getting wrecked and eating whatever they give you to eat. So before you make a decision, like, yo, I want to be bad, or you know what I'm saying, I want to be a hustler, and like the glitz and glamour of it. Like one thing that we used to say on the inside, and it's like this board. but we used to could put our pictures at in that square. And we used to be like, yo, when we get out there, I'm gonna be like like that square on the wall,
No question.
you know,
Hey,
like and that's what I stick to right now. Like, yo, I'm glad I can smile.
gotta keep smiling.
Yeah. Cause
Got
like even though like I can smile now, like okay, I can laugh. The atmosphere, because you know we used to wake up sometimes and the smell in the air, the stench in the air, how everything is like that's how we got to move today. Somebody gonna die today.
it be heavy. I was telling Youngin this morning. He was asking me questions, and he said, "Man, you in a good mood." And I said, "Man, I've been on." I said, "One, I've been in prison." I said, I was away for years, and I said I
Mm-hmm.
was in Greensville, which you can relate to, and I'm where 9:01 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
executions going on,
Yeah, most definitely.
and they locked the
I was there with Muhammad,
yeah.
Royal Flush. Yeah, I've been there when when they was killing people. I done
Yeah.
talked to the guy that was on death row, and he was like, "Yo," and he didn't do it. And they was like, he said they told him so. Like, what's that? Oh, you? That's where you gonna be at? Yeah.
So man, that's why we grateful. That's why guys like us are grateful, man. Definitely appreciate you for hopping up here. I feel
Most
like
definitely.
I feel like we barely scratched the surface. So we
Yeah.
definitely we'll probably gonna have to do a part two if you down with that.
Most definitely, man.
And then we getting ready to get a panel up here too, man. We're gonna have 5, 6 of these boxes up here. Have some brothers up here, some sisters. Start having some round tables. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and touch on some other conversations, but stuff like that, man. But I want to salute you again. I want to say thank you, from one brother to another, man, for what you're doing in V.
Mm-hmm.
Um, man, anybody that's been behind the wall and took that negative and turned it into a positive. So,
Mm-hmm. Most
thank you for being
definitely.
part of this. Thank you for everybody that's watching, tuning in, subscribing, following the content, all of that. If you definitely, want to see a part two, you don't mind, you can reach out to us at any given time. But I'm gonna put Gene's info up here. It already is. Strong Temple Fitness. Strong. Hey, can you give us the strong acronym one more time for the people?
The strong is standing together, relying on God. It's not whatever God you believe in it, because all of us got to rely on it. If it's Muhammad, Buddha, Allah, Jesus, like, yo, we just got to stand together and rely on your God. Like, yeah.
That's it, man. Standing strong, standing firm, being proactive, never giving up, being disciplined, consistent, and embracing life, man. There's only but so much time, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit with your head down because certain things get thrown at you, or you can learn from Gene's situation where insurmountable odds, an obscene situation was thrown at him. He didn't give up. He kept going, and today he's excelling. And
Mm-hmm.
probably just getting started as far as I'm concerned. Because when you get into the speaking thing and people start catching on to your story and everything, man,
That's it. That's it.
that's
That's
it.
it.
But till next time, man, salute. Um,
Salute.
yeah, salute, man. Peace and blessings to each and every one of y'all out there. Thanking you each and every time for getting up here, man. Gene, anything you want to say to people before we go?
Just keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and like you say, man, watch me, watch the moves. If you want to talk to me, like you say, Gene Strong Temple is my Facebook page. You got any questions? Strong Temple Fitness. You can Google me, like you'll see my work and what I'm doing. Got a peanut festival race coming up this the 24th, like giving away prizes and things of that nature. You know, just trying to keep these youth and keep everybody healthy and strong. So yeah.
That's what it is, man. Hey, we out here working. Hopefully, y'all too, man. Stay safe. We got work to do, man. Remember, it's intelligence over emotion, man. And facts don't really care about feelings. Let's get it.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.